You think your thoughts are yours. They're not. A notification appears, and you check it. A thought shows up, and you follow it. A video starts, and you keep watching. You don't question it. You don't stop it. It just moves you. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel external. It feels like you decided. Like you chose to check. Like you wanted to continue. But look closer. There's no clear moment where you actually choose. It just begins. A small reaction that leads into another, and another, each one flowing into the next without resistance, without interruption. Until the direction of your attention is no longer something you set. It's something that keeps shifting, based on what appears in front of you. And the more smoothly it happens, the less it feels like influence. The more it feels like you. You don't decide first. You react. The movement starts before the thought forms. You pick it up before you ask why. You open something before you decide to. And by the time you notice it, you're already inside it. There's no clear starting point, no moment where you pause and choose. It just begins. A small movement, already in motion before you notice it. And once it starts, it doesn't wait. It continues, from one action into the next, without interruption, without resistance, until awareness catches up, but by then, the direction is already set. And this happens so fast, so smoothly, that it never feels like a reaction. It feels like intention, like you decided. But what you're feeling is the result, not the beginning. It starts with something small, a sound, a vibration, a flash of light, something subtle, but enough. Enough to shift your attention, enough to interrupt what you were doing, enough to start something you didn't plan to begin. At first, it feels insignificant, just a small reaction, a brief shift in attention. But those shifts don't stay separate, they connect. One trigger leads to another, then another. And over time, your attention begins to follow what appears, not what you decide. You stop initiating and start responding to whatever becomes visible at the exact moment you're most likely to react. And the more often it happens, the more natural it feels, until your direction no longer comes from you, but from what reaches you first. And then it repeats the same signal, the same reaction, again and again and again, until the response becomes faster, cleaner, almost instant. No hesitation, no gap, just trigger and action. At first, you notice it, the interruption, the shift, the reaction. But repetition changes that. It removes the friction. It shortens the distance between trigger and response, until there's no visible break between them at all. It becomes immediate, seamless, automatic. And once it reaches that point, you don't experience it as something happening to you. You experience it as something you do, as if it came from you, as if it belongs to you. But what feels natural is often just what has been repeated enough times. And it doesn't stay the same. It adjusts to you. What you pause on, what you react to, what you return to, it gets noticed. Not once, but repeatedly, patterns begin to form. And over time, those patterns shape what comes next. It doesn't need to control everything. It only needs to notice what works, what holds your attention, what makes you stay a little longer. And once it sees that, it starts to adjust, subtly, quietly, without interruption, until what appears in front of you begins to match what you are most likely to react to. Not randomly, but precisely. And the more accurate it becomes, the less resistance you feel, because what you see starts to align with what already pulls you. What you see is not neutral. You don't see everything. You see what appears, what surfaces, what gets placed in front of you, at the exact moment you're most likely to engage. And over time, that selection starts to feel complete. It doesn't feel limited, because what you see feels relevant, aligned, close enough to what already holds your attention. So you don't question it. You don't notice what's missing, only what's present. And the more consistent that presence becomes, the more it shapes what you expect to see next, until your perception starts forming around what is shown, not what exists. And once that shift happens, you're no longer just reacting to the environment. You're reacting to a version of it that was built to match you. And then, it starts to feel like choice. You pick one thing over another. You stay, or you leave. You continue, or you stop. It feels deliberate, like you weighed it, like you decided. But look closer at what those choices are made from, what you're comparing, what you're selecting between. None of it appears randomly. None of it arrives without context. It's already filtered, already shaped, already aligned with what you're most likely to respond to. So when you choose, you're not choosing from everything. You're choosing from what's been placed in front of you. And when those options are designed to feel right, the decision doesn't feel influenced. It feels natural. It feels like you. But what feels like choice is often just the final step in a process that started long before you noticed it. And after a while, it feels like you. The way you react, the way you shift attention, the way your thoughts move from one thing to the next. It stops feeling external, stops feeling influenced. It just feels normal, like this is how you think. But that feeling is the result of repetition, of exposure, of small shifts happening over time, until they stop feeling like changes and start feeling like identity. You don't notice when it settles in, when reacting becomes faster than thinking, when attention moves without direction, when choice follows what feels easiest instead of what you intended, because it all fits together, seamlessly, quietly, until the way you process things, the way you respond, the way your thoughts move, no longer feels shaped. It just feels like you've always been this way. But sometimes there's a gap, a moment where you don't move, where the reaction doesn't happen immediately, where something feels slightly off, like you're watching it instead of being inside it. Just for a second. It doesn't last long. That moment, that distance, that sense that something is happening, and you're not fully inside it. But it's enough to feel the difference between reacting and seeing the reaction, between following and noticing what pulls you. And in that space, however small, you realize something, that the process isn't invisible anymore, that the movement isn't automatic anymore, not completely, because once you see it, even briefly, it doesn't feel as seamless as before. So the next time you think a thought or make a choice, you might notice it, the pull, the reaction starting, the shift in attention, and for a moment, it won't feel invisible anymore. Because once you've seen it, even briefly, you're not fully inside it anymore. Not completely. There's a distance now, a small separation between what appears and how you respond to it. And that separation changes everything. Not instantly, not permanently, but enough to recognize that what feels natural isn't always yours. And what feels like choice isn't always where it begins. This isn't just about focus or distraction. It's about understanding what shapes your thoughts, your reactions, and the space in between. And this is only the surface.